I'm joined now by 630's Charlie Edward. Now, Charlie, as a sports reporter here at NCTV 17, I'm sure you've noticed the increased media attention surrounding the dangers of football.
I have, Natalie, and that's why I did a story on it. It's very interesting because all the negative attention placed on football seems to go to the standard diagnosed concussion, but the truth of the matter is that it's a problem that really runs much deeper.
Now, the story sounds fascinating, and I know you're a football fan yourself.
I'm a huge football fan. I wake up every Sunday morning ready to watch, just like anybody else. But the truth of the matter is something that has really hit home to me, and it makes me wonder, should I be an advocate of the game? Creates for a very interesting dynamic.
All right, let's take a look.
When we discovered the Coliseum, the bleachers were empty, the front gates unmanned, and the architecture stood silent. What's more eerie than the white noise is that we may one day be discovered the same. With 3 deaths in 3 weeks, all occurring on high school football fields, a familiar shadow has been cast over the game, and athletic directors are back to answering questions once more.
If parents decide that football is not something that I'm going to allow my kids to do, yeah, football's in serious trouble, because that's the next generation of football players.
But how much trouble is it really in? No amount of catastrophe, no amount of devastation, no amount of research is enough to slow down our love for the game. And an introspective look at the bevy of reasons why we love the game shows it's possible we've been manipulated to feel a certain way.
I'm a huge baseball fan and a huge basketball fan, but there's something about football that makes it a little bit different.
It's a fast game, it's a physical game, it's a highly skilled and athletic game where it takes different types of athletes to play.
The big plays, the hits, and like the passion, the heart that everybody plays with. It's hard to find in another sport.
NFL films captured all of these things flawlessly. The warlike atmosphere, the intense strategy, the grandiose sight of a ball floating through the air, the meticulousness of a running back step, and on top of all the glorification is integration. The fantasy football factor comes into play.
I think nowadays, the game has really taken off due to this whole fantasy football thing. I even see kids at school talking about their fantasy teams.
Fantasy football, more popular than other fantasy sports because it's easy. Football is mostly played only 1 day a week. To add, we hardly get enough of it with just 16 games in a season, and so we're always left wanting more.
I think one of the things that we also know, regardless of how things shake out in health, I think organizations like the NFL, organizations like the NCAA are master marketers, right? I mean, football's big business.
It's not just big business, it's larger than life business. And unfortunately, football has proven that time and time again. It's mind-boggling. A sport at the peak of its popularity, loved by most, celebrated by all, is facing uncertainty regarding its future. On 630, we dive into the truth of the matter. Diagnosed concussions are not the worst of the problem. Pat New, the head football coach at Bennett Academy, has seen the dangers firsthand. In 2014, Red Wings senior defensive back Andrew Valatka suffered a spinal fracture on the field.
You know, I was an assistant coach at Naperville North for a number of years, and we had a terrible injury there, and then we had Andrew's injury last year, and it was it really affected me.
There are catastrophic injuries, and then there is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE develops when the head is exposed to repetitive trauma and subsequently begins to produce abnormal proteins in the brain known as tau, which interrupts normal functioning and even, in its least advanced form, may cause depression and severe mood changes.
There's a decline in numbers. I think that we're starting to see some of that at the high school level, and I would assume that CTE and some of the publicity associated with head trauma and the things that we know now are part of that issue.
A Frontline report indicates 76 of 79 former players examined posthumously were found to have CTE. They range from 18-year-olds with no history of concussions to legends of the game like Junior Seau, who sacrificed his body for his passion. And still, many are confident that we can overcome the disease.
As the game evolves, the people and the fans have to evolve along with it and understand that maybe some of the changes that are being made are for the players' own good.
The changes he refers to are the changes in concussion protocol, as well as the increased penalties for head-to-head contact. The cause and effect of these changes? Football has evolved to be almost entirely a passing game.
In the early 1900s, people were dying from playing the game. I believe it was Teddy Roosevelt talked about, address the issue.
Football responded then by introducing the aerial attack. Today, we responded by adding to the aerial attack, and the results of the changes might dictate the future of the game.